Good evening, everyone that is tuning in this evening. I am Andrew. I am one of the outreach service managers for Western Central Nebraska out of Scotts Bluff. And I'm with Education Quest. And today we're going to talk to you guys about planning for college, but kind of on the junior side. So junior is the perfect time for you. Now is the perfect time for juniors to start planning ahead for college. And that's what we're going to talk about today and kind of give you the tips and the little tricks that we know that we have up our sleeves to help you through that process and make that transition from high school into college as smooth as possible for the student, for the parents as well. Let's see here. Oh, now bear with me. I don't know why. Okay. Add a presentation. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now we're back on track. So what we're going to be talking about today is kind of the first things to start thinking about as you start planning for college as a junior. Finding that right fit is all about finding the college that best fits the student, best fits the junior. College admissions and all the steps that go with that. How to pay for college, which is probably the big one. And then where you can go to get free help. All of these things will kind of help guide you through that process now early so you can start kind of getting everything in order, get your ducks in a row as you start getting into your senior year, which is right around the corner. So when we talk about college, why we consider it in the first place is by default, by going to college, it provides you better opportunities for job security, for higher wages, higher salaries. It provides you a better opportunity to maybe not be traveling around as much. Research shows us that college graduates with bachelor's or beyond tend to be healthier and live a little bit longer because they have insurance plans, because they have a little bit more money so they can pay for gym memberships and things like that. We also see with research that people that go through college are also more involved in their community because they're not having to maybe juggle 2 or 3 jobs, and they're able to work with their community as they continue on and build their careers and build their community. So there's a lot of good reasons why college is a good opportunity for students as they continue on. And we had a comment come through. Yes, you are automatically muted while you watch this, but I am able to see chats as we go through this. So the first thing that we talk about is we want to figure out what is the best career for the student, right? It's not going to be what mom and dad may think is the best career for you. It's figuring out what are your strengths. We want to build on your strengths. So think about what activities are you interested in? What skills are you good at? What are your strengths? And then matching that with a career. And then from there, figuring out, okay, this is the career that I'm interested in. So what is the degree that I need to get? What colleges offer that program, that major? And then it kind of just builds off of that. Now, I will tell you from experience that you may change your major a couple of times. It is common to do that because as you get into college, you're going to learn more about yourself. But starting to think now about what are those strengths that I have. You like math? Excellent. That is a great skill. That is a great interest to have. And so build on that. Are you good with animals? Then that's going to be, maybe something that interests you. So look at those things and fit that in with careers that use that skill, that interest, and that strength, and correlate that to what college major you're going to be looking into. And that will help you match to a college or to find a few different colleges that have that you can then start researching and figuring out what's going to be the best one for you. When we start researching colleges, your school counselor is going to be a really great resource for you. They're getting updated fairly regularly with different things that happen in colleges, not just in your region or in your state, but in different places as well. So they're going to be kind of your one stop to start getting some of that information. At your high school, you're going to also have opportunities to meet with admissions reps that come in from different colleges around that go to your school to meet with students who are interested in that college. That's the best opportunity for you to get some of those more specific questions answered. Those reps are extremely knowledgeable in the college that they are representing, and so they're going to want to provide you the best information possible on those colleges. So that's a really great opportunity for you to get more information on different colleges that may interest you. College Profiles at EducationQuest.org is a national college search where you can look at colleges around the US and dive in a little bit deeper and see what is their cost, what is their attendance, what programs do they have. All of that information is provided in our college profiles on EducationQuest website. Attending a college fair. Now, I know that things have been a little bit different this year, but we have worked in virtual college fairs that seem to have been a really great opportunity for students to meet up with a wide variety of colleges, to chat with them one-on-one, to see videos, to get additional information. And that's a really great opportunity for your students. And those will be happening the fall of your senior year. So that's when you're going to be watching out for that information. And then, of course, the websites for the college are going to have lots of detailed information. They also have social media, Facebook, Twitter, all of that stuff are really great opportunities for you, the student, to go in and see what is that college like, both on a social side, but then on their website, digging into those details and figuring out, all the different programs and opportunities that you'll have at that college. We will be hosting another virtual college fair in the spring, so keep your eyes and ears open for that. We did just have our other junior virtual college fair occurred last month. So when we talk about college, we're talking about a variety of different colleges. So there's essentially 3 different types. I always start by talking about those trade schools, those career schools. So in Nebraska, those career schools are going to be ones like Zenon, Fullen, those cosmetology specific career schools, or maybe it's going to be something that's more driven towards automotive, or if you're going into kind of a medical field. There's all sorts of different career schools out there. The things to know about the career schools is that the purpose of those are to get you trained in that career specifically. So it's typically a shorter term program, and it's specific, very specific. So you are there just for that program. And typically those are for profit. So it's important to kind of look and gauge that as you start researching those colleges. Occasionally those trades or those careers, you can find opportunities at the community colleges around the state of Nebraska. So kind of balancing out and figuring out what's going to be the best thing for you. If you go to a community college, it may be a little bit longer than that career school. So it just comes down to kind of figuring out what's going to be the thing that best fits your future goals for yourself. Then we have community colleges. We have those spread out throughout the state of Nebraska. And that's where you go typically for right around 2 years. And you'll go there to get certification, diplomas, or associate's degrees. From that, you can use that for career advancement or for certification to get started in that trade, if that's the route you go. You can also use that associate's degree to transfer on to a 4-year college or university. That's become, a fairly popular thing to do with time, just because there are community colleges just spread out throughout the state. You can typically find one within probably a 2 or 3 hour radius of your town. And then we have our 4-year colleges and universities. So this is where you go for typically 4 years, where you're going to go for bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, or beyond. There's going to be 2 different types of college and universities. One is going to be public, that's going to be in the state of Nebraska, our University of Nebraska system, which is Kearney, Lincoln, Omaha, and the University of Nebraska Medical Center. Then we also have the state college system, which is Wayne, Peru, and Chadron State, are all the public colleges and four-year public colleges and universities in the state. Then we also have a variety of private ones, and those are going to vary in terms of price and things like that. But we have those spread out throughout the state as well. So those will be schools like Hastings College, Creighton, Midland, Wesleyan, Doane, those kinds of colleges. The thing to know about the difference between the public and the private is that the public draws money from your taxes, whereas the private, they don't have as such firm requirements because they're not getting all of that tax money. So while a private college in theory is going to sound like it's going to be a big paycheck that you're going to have to send over to them, in actuality, you may find private colleges being comparable in price to a public university or college. So don't rule out private colleges just because they're private. Look into it and research it and see what you may qualify for that just brings that cost down and something a little bit more comparable to a public college or university. So as we continue on with this presentation, we're going to be talking about diving into those colleges and talking about what happens when you start attending, applying for those, or whatever the case may be. First thing is trying to get a campus visit is ideal. Now, I know that in the midst of COVID, that not every college around is going to be allowing either group visits or even individual visits might be the case. So checking in, a lot of colleges now have virtual college fairs available. So you'll be able to see what it's like on their campus. Ideally, if you can step foot on campus, that's going to give you a really good feel of what it's like at that college. We often say things like finding out if it's a good fit for you, meaning, do they have the program of study you're interested in? Do they have the social life that you're looking for? The cost, all of those things come into play. But when you step foot on campus, you get a better idea of what that personality is of that college. And it gives you a better sense of, is this a place that fits me? Or is this something that maybe I won't be as successful at? Do I need to be looking at other campuses? And I will tell you that students get a really strong feel for a college when they get on that campus, and it helps them decide if that campus is the one for them or not. So start doing that your junior year. Into the summer is a good time as well. When you do campus visits, ideally you want to be there while it's in session so you can see students on campus, going to class, see what it's like on that campus. So taking opportunities to do that is going to be a really good chance for you to see what that college is like. Well, I mentioned a little bit earlier about narrowing down those choices. So obviously, first and foremost is going to be, does the college that you're looking at have the program you're interested in? So if they don't, then that's obviously not going to be a good fit for you. So you want to make sure that they have the program you're interested in, or maybe a few different programs you're interested in if you're kind of leaning toward a few different things. The size is going to be a big factor for a lot of our kids. And that's just because, you're going to have your general classes be 100, 200 people in a lecture room style, or it may be up to 25 students in a classroom style. Every student is different in terms of how they best learn. Do they learn better in smaller groups, or do they learn better? Are they challenged a little bit more in those larger groups? So every student needs to dive in a little bit and see what is going to be the best thing for them. Location comes into account for a few different ways. One, typically the closer you are to home, to where you graduated from high school, means it's going to be a little bit lower cost. With that being said, in-state tends to be a little bit cheaper than going out of state. But there are always kids out there that maybe they want to explore and they want to try something new and they want to challenge themselves in a location that's a little bit further from their support team. Every kid is a little bit different when it comes to that. Cost, which we're going to dive in a little bit more about, but that's obviously going to be a big factor with what colleges you may be interested in. Career prep. Do they provide you opportunities for internships, for apprenticeships? Do they provide opportunities for career fairs? How well are they in getting their students out into the career that they went to school for? So that's something to look into. And social climate. Are you a student that wants to have a Greek life, that wants to get involved on campus in clubs and organizations? Or are you a little bit more introverted and you don't necessarily need all of those things? So this just emphasizes that every student is very different when it comes to what their preferences are, and especially when determining what college is going to be the best place where they're going to be the most successful. So admissions is the department at the college that's going to work with you to attend. So when it comes down to deciding what colleges you're interested in, especially for the juniors, I like to have a few different ones. So have a dream school, have that Ivy League school that you've already dreamt to attend, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, whatever it may be, because those dream schools are going to have really strict requirements as to what you'll have to do in order to attend there. But that's a really good setting, a goal set for you to have. And then your plan B school may not have as many requirements. So maybe that's going to be, University of Nebraska, Kearney, or one of your home schools, or not home schools, but your community colleges closer to home. And then always have that backup plan. For most of our Nebraska students, that backup plan is going to be the community college in and around your area. That you'll be able to attend there pretty quickly if things don't match out with the other ones. But definitely aim toward that dream school, because if you're working on those requirements, then meeting all the other requirements for the other colleges is going to be cakes compared to that. There's a few different types of admission. Early admission, early decision, those both essentially mean that the earlier you apply your senior year, the more opportunities and the more likely you are to be accepted, right? It's going to be essentially like a first come, first serve. So they only have X amount of spots that they can fill. And so the earlier you decide to apply to that college means the sooner you're going to know whether or not you've been accepted, so you can plan accordingly. But also it gives you potentially some opportunities for some scholarships just because you're planning ahead of time. Now, that doesn't mean you're applying to only one college. You could be applying to 2, to 3, to 4. I have students apply to, 7. But just getting that application rolling early is going to give you better opportunities to plan and opportunities for scholarships as well. October for the state of Nebraska is our apply to college month. And so you may have opportunities at your school your senior year to have assistance to apply for those colleges. Regular enrolling admission. What that means is regular admission means that there's going to be a deadline. There's going to be a cutoff date for you to attend that following academic year. Typically, we see those deadlines April 1st, May 1st. So you want to do the applications, you want to do all the scholarships, everything before those deadlines, or you may not be able to attend that college. Rolling admissions means that you may be able to apply as early as the date, or as late as the day before classes start, and be able to start attending classes. Typically, we see the rolling admissions at the community colleges or the career schools. When you're applying for admissions, like I said, plan to apply to 3, 4, or however many you have in mind. You will need to do the application, and sometimes there is an application fee. Know that if the fee is something that's going to hinder you from applying, talk to your counselor at your high school and see if you qualify for a fee waiver. That way you won't have to worry about that fee. You will eventually need to send over your high school transcripts, and then any ACT or SAT scores will need to be sent over as well. There is a complete college application list and tutorials on admissions and things like that on our website, EducationQuest.org. What if you decide to attend a community college? or a 2-year college, and you want to transfer on and continue your bachelor's and beyond, that's perfectly fine. That means you will be transferring from one college to the other. When you transfer, it's important to know what classes are going to transfer across and what the requirements are for you to transfer from one college to another. Most colleges have a transfer advisor, but you can always go to Transfer.Nebraska.edu for additional information on the process that happens when you transfer from one college to the next. We do see that sometimes with 4-year colleges, and you transfer because one maybe wasn't the fit and you transfer over to another one. That's perfectly fine. We want you to be successful. Just make sure that your transfer is going to go across smoothly. Cost. All right, so now we're going to dive into kind of the nitty-gritty part of this presentation and talk about the money, which is, for a lot of people, kind of the make it or break it. So first, let's talk about what is that cost? What's that cost of education? So cost of education is going to vary from college to college. This is going to include your tuition and fees. Your tuition is going to be you paying for your classes, so typically per credit hour. And your fees, that's going to be things like technology, activities, other additional opportunities on the campus, parking. That's going to be one of the part of that. Your books and supplies. So unlike high school, you will have to purchase your own books and supplies for your classes. On average, books are about $500 a pop. You may be taking 4, 5, 6 classes depending on how your schedule is set up. So you will want to research and find, different ways for you to maybe rent or lease or buy used or buy new if you have to. But that's going to be included in that cost. And the supplies is going to be talking if you're going to go into a medical field, then that's going to be your stethoscope, your scrubs. If you're going into welding, that's going to be your gloves, your mask. Auto body, that's going to be your tools. So those supplies are also included as part of that cost of education. Room and board. So the room is essentially where you sleep at night. The board is where you're eating. So if you live on campus, you will be required to have a meal plan. And so you'll be paying kind of all of that lumped together. Whereas if you live off campus, the room is going to be your rent, and then the board and everything, and the room is going to be your rent, your utilities, so electricity, internet, water, and then the board is going to be your groceries or your takeout or whatever, the ramen noodles that you're eating that you get for Christmas. So that's going to be, included in that cost of education. Those first three, the tuition fees, books and supplies, room and board, are all direct costs, meaning the college determines what those prices are at for living on campus, housing plans, things like that. Whereas the personal and transportation piece, that last piece of the cost of education, that the student has a little bit of control over. The personal is going to be, are you getting your hair colored once a month, or are you collecting shampoos from hotels and that's what you're using to wash your hair? Are you buying expensive organic deodorant, or are you buying regular deodorant? Either way, we recommend you to purchase deodorant while you're in college. And then the other thing is going to be transportation. Are you riding your bike a couple of blocks, or are you commuting 30 minutes in a Hummer? And that's going to use a little bit more gas. So that's kind of where that flexibility comes in with that. And the college will estimate out what the average cost is for students when it comes to personal and transportation. And that's where that cost of education comes from. Keep in mind that tuition rates do sometimes change on an annual basis, as well as housing plans and things like that. So making sure you're having the most updated information on that is going to give you a better idea what that cost is going to be when you attend your freshman year of college. So when we're looking at these costs, you're going to notice a little bit of a difference as we look at this graph. So community colleges are going to be typically the lower end for tuition and fees. Then we get up a little bit higher with the 4-year public college, then the private college, and then the career schools, typically because they're they're for-profit, they're going to have a little bit higher of that cost. Books and supplies typically stay about the same all the way across, especially because technology has provided students really good opportunities to get ebooks or rentals or leases, and that cost has changed a little bit over time. And then room and board will vary by campus, and typically career schools will not have housing available for those students. So that's going to be something you'll want to look into. Again, college profiles on our website will dive in a little bit more detailed on those costs for different colleges around the nation. Understanding your family's financial status is key when you're trying to decide what cost is going to be effective for you and your family. That's not going to break the bank, as we're looking at this piggy bank. Thinking about, where all the money is coming from just helps you understand that. So parents that are listening in tonight, it's a good opportunity for you to sit down with your students, those juniors, and talk about this is what is feasible within your family, to help kind of understand where you're at for your financial situation. But now we're going to talk about, so that was talking about understanding your family's finances, but now we're going to dive in and talk about the different ways that you pay for college that don't necessarily mean out of your pocket. So there are 4 different types of financial aid. The first one is going to be scholarships. Then we have grants, work study, and student loans. You're going to notice that scholarships is the only one that's a different color that doesn't have that little asterisk, that star on the side. And that's because grants, work study, and loans are all based off of your FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, which we're going to dive in a little bit more detailed as we continue on. Scholarships, however, are not based on that. So with that being said, in my opinion, and most of us that work in EducationQuest are going to tell you scholarships are without a doubt the best form of financial aid for a student. So now let's break these down a little bit and dive into what they are. So when it comes to scholarships are essentially going to be money that a student applies for. If they receive that money, they do not have to pay that back later. So that's what makes it such a great opportunity, is that I don't like to say free money, but in a lot of aspects, it is free money for you to attend college. So it all comes down to your application, meeting the requirements for that scholarship, and they'll all have different requirements, and doing that quality application. But it comes down to the student finding them. Scholarships don't typically find you. You have to find them. Without a doubt, your high school counselor is going to be probably the first and best person for you to start talking to about that. They're going to be familiar with the scholarships that, one, your high school peers have received in the past, and community ones that are only for your high school, your community. And so they're going to be a really good resource for you when it comes to finding scholarships for you within that high school. The college or the colleges that you're planning on attending, that's going to be the next place for you to start looking at scholarships. Lots of colleges have general scholarship applications, so you do one application for the majority of their institutional funds. So you'll want to make sure you know when it opens, what requirements they have, and when the deadline is, so you meet all of the things that you need to. Scholarship Quest is a resource on our website at EducationQuest.org. It's essentially a one-stop shop for Nebraska students looking for scholarships. You'll create an account and provide some information, and from that information, it's going to pull up scholarships that you should qualify for. And it gives you an opportunity to also look at scholarships that, for right now, for the juniors, you can look at which ones were out there for the seniors this year, so you can start planning ahead and start looking at what scholarships you may want to approach in your senior year. Private organizations, your houses of worship, where mom and dad work, where the student works, community foundations, Elks, Moose, Lodge, Eagles, those kinds of things oftentimes have scholarships. You just have to keep your ears perked up. And when you hear about those opportunities, or when you see those opportunities, reach out and start working on that process if you qualify for those scholarships. And then you can always Google search scholarships. Just keep in mind, you should never, ever, ever have to pay for any kind of scholarships, as well as you shouldn't be providing your socials and things like that typically. So in case you are ever questioning resources that you find online, feel free to reach out to the EducationQuest office nearest you, and we can check and see if it's one that's reputable or if it's a scam. There are scams out there, so we want to keep you protected from those. Every scholarship is going to have different criteria, and there is a scholarship for just about anything under the moon in terms of criteria. We're typically used to merit-based, so that's going to be grade-based, so GPA, ACT scores, things like that. But then there's so many other ones outside of that that are based on maybe your financial need, ethnicity, things, organizations that you're a part of, where you work, your college choice. All of those different things are going to be great opportunities for you to find scholarships. A term that I want to touch base on is that first-generation student. That would be if neither mom nor dad have a college degree. That student and all of their siblings will be deemed first-generation students, and there are a lot of scholarship opportunities out there. When we talk about financial need, sometimes scholarships will require your FAFSA results, but occasionally you are able to find other scholarships outside of that. And so you can always check our website, thescholarshipquest.org, and there are also national sites that we've checked are reputable, that aren't scams, that you can check on our website as well. When it comes to scholarships, there are a few things that I want to touch base on. First and foremost, your applications are to represent the student as a professional young adult, an educated professional young adult. So when you're doing those applications, they may require essays. Make sure you put time into that, and you're putting in quality information. Then have mom and dad look at it, grandma and grandpa look at it, your teachers, your mentor, whoever it may be, have it double check, triple check, whatever the case may be, because oftentimes the students will sell themselves short. So this is your chance in these essays to talk about your strengths, to talk about the obstacles that you've overcome as a student, and to give you an opportunity for some money that you don't have to pay back. So this is your chance to really show yourself to these scholarship people that you are the person that they want to give it to. So that's going to be one thing that you really want to look at. The next big thing is make sure you meet those deadlines. Most scholarships, once that deadline hits, after that, you're out of luck. And so it's important for you to meet those deadlines so then you do hit and you do have those opportunities. We see a lot of scholarship deadlines happen around February 1st through March 15th is when we see the bulk of our scholarship deadlines come through. And while we're talking about scholarships open at different times. So you may go into your counselor's office and they'll have a list of scholarships, and then a week later, they have a longer list of scholarships. And then as you get into your spring semester, it gets a little bit smaller. So making sure you keep up to date with that. You'll go into your scholarship quest on a weekly basis, maybe, to see what's out there and what's available, because different ones become available at different times. EducationQuest offers some of our own unique scholarships. So if you go in through our scholarship quest, you will see the opportunity for the scavenger hunt scholarship. If you follow all of those details and those rules, you will be put in the drawing for a $500 scholarship, and we do that annually. So that's a really great opportunity for your students to get some good scholarships, as well as following us on our social media and starting to see every time we hit 250 followers, then we have a selection of scholarships based on who's following. So you may get a scholarship just for liking us following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So that's a really easy opportunity for you to get some scholarship opportunities. We had a question come through. Do we start applying for scholarships in our senior year? You are correct. So scholarships typically open the fall of your senior year. That's when you're going to see the bulk of them becoming available. So you'll start doing that and then seeing those deadlines happen in the spring. Good question. Thank you. So next we're going to talk about a grant. A grant is based on your financial need. If you qualify, this is money you will not pay back later. So these are great opportunities for students, but not everyone's going to qualify for this. We're probably most familiar with the Pell Grant, which now has a maximum of $6,345 for the full of the year for a full-time student. But we also see that change if they're taking half-time credits, or if they don't qualify for that full amount based on their FAFSA. So you'll see those opportunities come through once you go in and you do your FAFSA. Then we have opportunity grants and college-based grants as well, again, based on that one application you do for the federal aid. Work study. So work study is when you're going to work on campus, and you're going to work typically no more than 12 hours a week. And this is just going to give you some extra spending money. So this money doesn't go necessarily toward your tuition and fees and all that stuff. This is going to be the money that you're going to use to pay for additional food, gas, maybe your books, different things like that. The purpose of these jobs is to give you an opportunity to work, to get some extra money while you focus on your education. So these jobs are good opportunities for a student to get that extra money, but also when it comes time for finals or whatever it may be, they're able to take some time off to focus on their studying. You may even be able to do your homework while you're working, depending on the job. Those jobs are going to be competitive, and so it is important for you to go out and find them yourself if you qualify for the work study on your FAFSA. So you do have to qualify for it. You do have to go out and find them, but they are really great opportunities for you to meet people, get to know the campus a little bit more, get some extra money, and focus on your education at the same time. If you don't qualify for work study based on your FAFSA, there still may be opportunities for you to work on campus, but where the college is paying you instead of the government. Student loans. Congratulations, you all qualify for student loans. So let's dive in a little bit about that. So as a freshman, your maximum amount for the full of the year that you'll be eligible for is $5,500 in student loans. As you get into your second, third, fourth year, that number is going to go up. That junior and senior year, it's going to max at $7,500 for the full of the year. This number is going to be the same for any college. So it could be community college, it could be a four-year state college, or the university system. That number is going to remain the same no matter what college you're looking at. Currently, that interest rate is at 2.75, extremely low right now due to COVID. And that changes, though, every year around July 1st. So you'll want to keep an eye out on that. And then of that maximum amount that you can borrow, part of it's going to be subsidized and part of it's going to be unsubsidized based on your FAFSA. Subsidized, I like to think of, picture in your mind a submarine underwater. It's still there, but you don't see it. So that's going to be the case with your loans. The interest is going to start accruing, but you don't have to pay it because it's being paid for by the government while you're in school. Whereas unsubsidized, think of it the opposite way. That means you see the interest, you're paying the interest while you're in school. You don't go into repayment for these until after you graduate. And there are a variety of different ways for you to pay those back now, with different, income-based repayment or gradual payments, different things like that that you can do to make those payments once you graduate. So let's say you get a chunk of scholarships, you maybe don't qualify for grants, and so you're going to be looking at having to take out that $5,500 for the first year while you're a freshman in college. And let's say with all of that, you still don't have enough to cover that cost of education. That's when the college is going to reach out to mom and dad and say, Mom and Dad, you may qualify for a Parent Plus loan. The amount that you qualify for will be based on determined by the college. It goes into repayment as soon as 60 days after it's been disbursed to the student in college. And that's going to be at a higher interest rate of 5.3. currently. And again, that will change come July, most likely. These are opportunities for your students to get additional help with payments. But when it comes down to it, the student is responsible for the direct student loans, whereas mom and dad are directly responsible for the Parent Plus loans. So your student is going to be the one making payments when they graduate on their student loans. Mom and dad, you're going to be making payments on the Plus loan while they're in school. So sometimes that's not a good fit. And there will be some credit checks that happen with this. But if you're looking at needing additional loans, check with your local banks. If you have Discover Card, or sometimes even credit unions will have student loan opportunities where it's more of a cosigner situation rather than solely on you. But that is there kind of as a last resort, something for you to help make sure that your student is able to start attending. And who knows, maybe you have a great kid who plans on helping you pay for it. So if that's the case, kudos to you, and give that kid a high five. So let's kind of go over all of this fun stuff. So as we review, we're going to look at this timeline. So the fall of your junior year is when you're going to be kind of starting to think about colleges, starting to think about what you might become interested in. You're getting involved with activities or organizations at your high school. You're going to attend a financial aid program. You're going to attend a college fair. You're going to research your colleges. And then in the winter, you're going to start getting ready for the ACT. You're going to continue looking at scholarships. And then you're going to start getting into more of the nitty-gritty stuff as you get into your spring of your junior year. This is when you're going to start visiting colleges, start researching and narrowing down that choice, looking at your ACT, taking your ACT, and see how you do. Since you take it your junior year, you may have opportunities to take it a second time if you want to. And on average, when you take the ACT a second time, you bump by 3 points. And that's significant for an ACT score. So I do recommend either preparing very well in advance for your ACT, or consider taking it twice if you need to. Applying for a summer job so you can start building up that savings account. And then in the summer, you may be retaking that and working on building your resume and looking at what careers may interest you so you can shadow it and see if that is truly a career that you are interested in. We had a question come through. I'll interrupt this. We had a question come through. What has been the average interest rate for student loans in non-COVID years? It varies. I can tell you when I was in college, I had one that was up as much as, I think I was near 8%. It just varies based on the economy at the time. Typically, I think we've seen it more so around maybe like 4%, but it will vary. And then for the loans, for the Parent Plus loans, it will kind of be based off of your credit rating as well. So that, or no, not based on your credit rating. Whether or not you qualify will be based on that, but that interest rate will stay the same. We'll just see it fluctuate a little bit. Almost always the Parent Plus loan is going to be a little bit higher interest than the students. And so it's just going to vary from time to time. So now we're looking at the senior timeline. So the fall of your senior year is going to be the prime time for planning for college. So making sure that you're meeting all the requirements that your colleges are needing, making sure that you attend the financial aid program so you get updated if there are any changes to the financial aid processes, but also to start getting a reminder of what's going to happen. As much as I would love to think that you'll all remember this presentation come the fall, you might not. And so it's important for you to be able to attend those. We do have those throughout the state. They may be housed at your high school or something similar to this, where we're doing it virtually and you're attending via website. You will start visiting those top colleges that you're interested in, attending that college fair and seeing other colleges and talking to those different reps. And then you're going to start applying for those colleges your fall. And that's just because that gives you the opportunity to start looking into the early admission, early decision. You'll plan a little bit earlier and you may get some opportunities for scholarships. Start creating your federal student aid accounts. And then after October 1st, you're going to go in and do that FAFSA. We do have a lot of resources for FAFSA. This last year, we've been doing all of our appointments virtually, but it has been very successful. We're still able to do all of the things that we've done in the past, just virtually. So please, if it comes time for the FAFSA, feel free to reach out to the EducationQuest office that is nearest you, and we can assist you with that. Then from your FAFSA, you'll get your student aid report, which goes into more detail of what you qualify for. You may be retaking the ACT in the fall of your senior year. And then that fall is when you're going to start seeing those scholarship applications becoming open and available. The winter, you're going to start looking for your acceptance letters and start keeping an eye on communications from the college if they need to verify any of your information. Then you're going to start seeing your financial aid awards where they tell you what scholarships, grants, things that like that they know of that you qualify for. They're going to start updating that and giving you that information. And then you're going to continue building that resume. The spring of your senior year is when you're going to start kind of narrowing things down. So you're going to be comparing those award letters to see, you know, how much college A is offering you compared to college B. And that's why we say to apply to, you know, 2 or 3 or 4, because then you can see what opportunities you have coming your way. You're going to continue applying for scholarships. You're going to start narrowing down and making your final decision for college. You're going to start registering for campus housing if you plan on living on campus, registering for new student orientation. And then in the summer, you'll attend the student orientation. You'll get registered for your classes at that time. You'll start finishing the applications for those loans. You'll have to do some master promissory notes and counseling. And then you're going to start getting to know who your roommate might be if you're living on campus. So it moves pretty quickly your senior year, which is why we want to talk about this now, so you can start planning ahead for whatever your goals may be, so you can be organized and ready to go when the time comes. Let's see here. Again, we are available for virtual appointments right now. We're still doing all of the services that we provided in the past, but we're doing them in the safety of our homes. And so please reach out to us if there's any questions that you have, or you need assistance with any kind of college planning. Just reach out to us. We do have our countdown to college emails, which give you updates on what things to be planning for. They have those for parents, they have them for seniors, and they have them for juniors. So it's going to narrow it down to specifically that targeted group, so you can kind of plan accordingly. And then our financial aid programs, you'll start seeing that information come the fall of your senior year. So please plan on attending one of those at your convenience, so then that way you can get updated with any new information that might be coming out at that time. Again, we have all the different social media. We don't do a whole lot with Pinterest, but you can follow us anyway. And just that's a really great opportunity to see all of the different things that we have to offer and to keep updated with what's going on in colleges, especially right now in, as much as I hate saying this word, uncertain times. That is where we are. And so we want to make sure that we keep you guys updated with what's going on as we get new information as well. And our website is probably the best college planning resource you could ever use. It has so many different things that you can see, tutorials, tips. It's going to tell you what things are coming up. It's lots and lots and lots of resources for scholarships and researching colleges. And our reality check is kind of a fun, active activity for students to see, you know, what lifestyle they want, what career they want, and does that match up? Are you going to be able to have the lifestyle you want to have with the career that you're looking at? So lots of different resources out there on our website. And then, of course, in the midst of all of our COVID stuff, we do have a specific resource page that goes into more detail on what virtual campus is, college application tutorials and things like that. Those are on our website right now, so you can start doing some of those virtual college fairs if you aren't able to travel right now. keep an eye for those financial aid programs where we're going to talk about the types of EducationQuest, the free application for federal student aid. We dive in very detailed with that one, and we'll go through that process at that time. We have offices in Lincoln, Omaha, Kearney, and then you're looking at the office in Scotts Bluff. So please feel free to reach out to us if you ever have questions with anything that has to do with college planning. This is why we're here. We want to assist you in any way. Moms, dads, don't pull out your hair, stress about things. Reach out to us, because if I haven't come across it, I guarantee you one of my colleagues in one of the other offices probably has. And that's what we want to be here to help you with that process. I'm going to now open this up a little bit for questions if you want to type any in the chat. I see we had one come through. Thanks, Tree, for replying back to that one. If there are any other questions, feel free to type those in now. Otherwise, this will be available to see. We are recording this, so it will be available for you to check out at a later time. Again, we will. Oh, it froze. Hopefully, I'm not frozen anymore. Hopefully, I wasn't making some crazy face for you. Hopefully, it's back up. But again, please reach out to us if there are any other questions that you may have. Treve, do you have anything else to add? I think we're probably looking pretty good. Excellent. All right. Well, enjoy your Tuesday evening, and hopefully the whole state of Nebraska doesn't get too cold or too wet this week, and we'll be back into that warm weather again. Thank you all, and have a great night.
Having a green card or citizenship criteria for a scholarship.
Okay, so with that, it's going to vary based on the scholarships that you're looking at. Some scholarships will allow that, and some might not. So it's going to be important to look and see what you may qualify for with a green card based on your residency status. Scholarships like this and Buffett are a little bit more flexible, but then there may be some that are more federally regulated that you may not be able to apply for. There are a lot of them out there. If you are a Spanish speaker, we do have our college planning specialists that do speak Spanish that can help you through that process as well. But there are a lot of avenues that you can go down, even if you aren't a citizen or a resident.
And we do have, I'll mention a list of some scholarships are available for undocumented students. So you can contact one of our offices and we can get that to you. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's kind of the same thing with the FAFSA. You have to have your green card or citizenship to qualify for the FAFSA, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. Any other questions or anything else you can think of, Treve?
I do not see anything else coming in. So, you know, I don't see any typing going on right now. So, well, maybe somebody is there. We have one. Does graduating midterm affect timeline for scholarships or FAFSA?
That's a great question. Scholarships and other deadlines don't change for students that are graduating at midterm. The difference is going to be for a student that graduates maybe in December of 2021, who plan on attending that following spring term, starting in January. They're actually going to be applying for the 21-22 school year. So it's going to just change a little bit of the information that they're going to do. The scholarships and things like that, unfortunately, are still going to be tied in to the same deadlines that they would be for any other student graduating in May. So for a student graduating at midterm, now is a good time to start looking at those scholarships and starting that process. You may find some that you can use for that 2022 spring semester.
Yeah, and for the FAFSA, I would just add that They always have two FAFSAs open, one for the current school year and one for the next school year. So if you have somebody who's going to graduate in that December timeframe, they'll want to do the one for starting in January and then the one for starting next fall. So if you are graduating there, you could do two FAFSAs at once for 2 school years using 2 different tax return years. So if that is your case and you want a little more on that, again, call one of our offices there. We'd be glad to walk you through that process and how it differs a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. All right. I think we have possibly another question coming in. We'll give it just a little bit. We still have a couple minutes too, so this works out just fine. I just realized how close I was to my camera the whole time. Thanks everyone for being comfortable enough to look at my pores during this presentation. Excellent. All right. Well, with that, I think we will conclude this presentation and reach out to us if you need any more detailed information or if you need assistance. We'll be happy to assist you. Have a great night.